On the morning of September 14, 2018, in the town of Miryalaguda, Telangana, a chilling scream rang out in front of a dental clinic. Pranay Kumar, 24, collapsed in a pool of blood right before the eyes of his pregnant wife. That morning, they had only planned to go for a routine prenatal checkup, but when Amrutha stepped outside, her husband was already lying motionless, and the killer had vanished into the crowd. This was not a robbery, nor was it a personal vendetta. It was a meticulously planned murder rooted within the wife's own family, where honor was valued above human life. Why would a marriage lead to murder? And what truly unfolded before that fateful morning? Let us turn back time, retracing every step that led to that morning of tragedy. Pranay Kumar was born in 1994 in the town of Miryalaguda, Telangana, India. He belonged to the Dalit community, the lowest rung in the caste system, long subjected to prejudice and discrimination in many aspects of life. Pranay's family was not wealthy, but they were known for their kindness and hard work. His parents ran a small business and devoted all their efforts to ensuring that their only son could study well and secure a stable career. Amrutha Varshini, Pranay's wife, came from an entirely different world. She belonged to the Reddy caste, a wealthy and influential upper-class community in the region. From a young age, Amrutha enjoyed material comfort and quality education, yet she was bound by the strict traditional rules of her family. Pranay and Amrutha first met during high school. Their relationship blossomed through group study sessions and extracurricular activities. They knew well that caste differences and family honor would be major obstacles, but they remained secretly devoted to each other for many years. In early 2018, they decided to marry. The wedding was simple, without grandeur, and without the blessing of Amrutha's family. Most notably, her father, Maruthi Rao, a wealthy and powerful businessman, considered this marriage the greatest stain on his family's honor. After the wedding, Pranay worked as a mechanical engineer at a private company, while Amrutha continued her university studies. When she became pregnant with their first child, she stayed home to focus on her health and prepare for the baby's arrival. Their life together was modest but happy, often sharing warm moments on social media. Yet behind this peaceful facade, a dark scheme was taking shape. For Maruthi Rao, this marriage was unacceptable, and he was willing to do whatever it took to erase it. After their wedding, Pranay and Amrutha began a new life filled with hope. They rented a small, cozy home in Miryalaguda, just enough space for the two of them and the baby on the way. Every morning, Pranay would often take his wife for a short ride or stop by their favorite cafe. In the afternoons, he made it a point to come home early so they could cook dinner together. Their bond grew stronger with each passing day. Pranay was always attentive, never allowing his wife to lift anything heavy. Amrutha, though her belly grew larger with each month, always beamed with joy when she was by his side. The photos they posted on social media drew many warm wishes from friends and well-wishers, but also whispers of disapproval from people in Amrutha's hometown, those still clinging to deep-rooted caste prejudices. On the other side, Amrutha's father, Maruthi Rao, continued to harbor resentment. He didn't see their marriage as just a personal humiliation. To him, it was a blow to his prestige and influence within the Reddy community. Allowing an outsider, especially a Dalit man, to marry into his family was, in his eyes, an unforgivable disgrace. Though outwardly he remained silent, inside he began to calculate. Rao closely monitored his daughter and son-in-law's movements, paying special attention to the times they went out together. Close friends would later reveal that months before the crime, Rao had hinted at settling this matter once and for all to restore the family's honor. To Pranay and Amrutha, the storm gathering on the horizon was invisible. They believed time would soften hearts and bring acceptance. In reality, each passing day only deepened Maruthi Rao's hatred. By mid-2018, tensions within Amrutha's family showed no signs of easing. Every time Maruthi Rao heard news of his daughter and son-in-law appearing together at community events, his anger flared. To him, every smile they shared, every happy photograph posted on social media, was a direct challenge to his authority and pride. According to the investigation records, in June 2018, Rao began reaching out to acquaintances within the criminal underworld, One name stood out: Subhash Sharma, a man with multiple prior convictions, known for his ruthlessness and discretion. After a few indirect contacts, Rao made his offer. Kill Pranay in exchange for 1 crore rupees, a staggering sum of money. The plan was laid out in meticulous detail. Sharma would shadow the couple, waiting for the perfect moment to strike. The ideal location? Places they frequented where security was lax, particularly clinics. The reasoning was simple. Crowded areas made it easier to blend in, and after the attack he could vanish into the throng. From July to early September, Sharma quietly followed them. He noted their schedules, habits, and even their travel routes. One critical piece of information soon came to light. On September 14, 2018, Amrutha was scheduled for a routine prenatal checkup at a large dental clinic in the heart of Miria Laguda. Rao's order was immediate. That is the perfect day. End it then. Meanwhile, Pranay and Amrutha carried on within their peaceful bubble, completely unaware that every step they took was under watch. To them, the upcoming morning of September 14th was nothing more than another prenatal appointment, never knowing it would become the morning that changed everything. That morning, the sky over Miria Laguda was clear, the soft sunlight spilling gold over familiar streets. Around 10 a.m., Pranay drove his small car, with Amrutha by his side, to the clinic. She wore a light-colored maternity dress, her face glowing despite her heavy belly. The couple chatted along the way, discussing buying more baby items and preparing the nursery for their child. Upon arrival, Pranay parked the car in front of the clinic and they walked in together. After registering, Amrutha was called into an examination room for her prenatal checkup, while Pranay remained in the lobby, exchanging a few words with acquaintances. Around 10:30 a.m., a man wearing a dark shirt and a baseball cap approached. Security camera footage would later show him walking calmly, his left hand gripping something concealed under his shirt. In just seconds, he closed in from behind, drew a knife and plunged it deep into Pranay's neck. Blood gushed instantly. Pranay staggered, trying to press his hand against the wound, but it was too late. The attacker struck again, stabbing his right shoulder before pulling the knife free and quickly walking away. It all happened so fast that the people nearby had no time to react. Just as Amrutha stepped out of the examination room, she heard panicked shouts. She saw her husband collapse, blood pooling on the tiled floor. Despite the weight of her pregnancy, she rushed to him, cradling him in her arms, her hands trembling as she tried to stop the bleeding, calling his name over and over. Onlookers scrambled to call an ambulance and block the attacker's path, but he had already vanished into the traffic outside, where an accomplice waited on a motorcycle. Within minutes, Pranay was rushed to the nearest hospital, but the fatal wound had severed his carotid artery, causing him to lose blood too quickly. Doctors confirmed that he had died before he could even reach the emergency room. News of the tragedy spread like wildfire. Within an hour, hundreds of Miria Laguda residents gathered outside the hospital, stunned, grief-stricken, and furious. They did not yet know that this harrowing scene was the final act in a cold-blooded plot months in the making. As news of Pranay's murder spread, the entire town of Miria Laguda was shaken. To many locals, Pranay was a gentle young man, never in conflict with anyone, and soon to become a father. His death in broad daylight, right before his wife's eyes, left the community stunned and outraged. The area in front of the clinic was quickly cordoned off. Local police set up barricades and instructed bystanders to keep their distance to preserve the evidence. On the tiled floor, fresh blood had spread into dark crimson patches. The scarf Amrutha had used in a desperate attempt to stop her husband's bleeding lay draped over a chair, soaked and stained red. Witnesses on the scene recounted the same story. The attacker appeared suddenly, struck with speed, and left immediately. Some described him as wearing a dark shirt and a baseball cap, about 1.70 meters tall, with a slender build. No one had managed to get a clear look at his face. Significantly, multiple security cameras around the area had captured the attacker from different angles. Police immediately collected this footage and requested copies of surveillance videos from nearby shops and restaurants. At the hospital, Amrutha was nearly inconsolable. She sat beside her husband's body, her hand still clutching his, eyes red and swollen, but with a hollow, vacant stare. Doctors and family members had to repeatedly comfort her, fearing the shock might endanger her pregnancy. Pranay's death not only brought immense grief to his family, but also sparked a wave of public outrage on social media. The hashtag #Justice for Pranay flooded timelines, accompanied by urgent calls for a swift investigation and for the killer to be brought to justice. Under mounting public pressure, police vowed to capture the perpetrator as soon as possible. Yet they also knew this was no ordinary murder. Signs pointed to a carefully orchestrated plan, with powerful forces backing the man who wielded the knife. That very afternoon, the Telangana State Police's criminal investigation team arrived at the clinic to conduct a forensic examination of the scene. The clinic's entrance was sealed off with tarps, and each floor tile was photographed and marked. Blood trails from the victim stretched from the steps up to the lobby area, indicating that Pranay had tried to move after the attack before collapsing completely. The evidence collected included a blood-stained knife discarded in a vacant lot about 500 meters from the scene, its blade over 20 centimeters long, the handle wrapped in black tape. A baseball cap, believed to belong to the attacker, dropped during his escape. Footprints and motorcycle tire marks in the soft dirt near the escape route. Alongside collecting physical evidence, police retrieved footage from at least 4 different security cameras in the area. The videos helped reconstruct the attacker's route, from appearing about 200 meters from the clinic, approaching Pranay, striking, and then running toward an alley where an accomplice waited on a motorcycle. Meanwhile, at the morgue, the forensic pathologist carried out the autopsy. The results confirmed that Pranay had died from a deep slash to the carotid artery, causing massive blood loss within minutes. There was also a stab wound to the right shoulder, cutting through major muscle tissue, evidence that the attacker acted with lethal precision to ensure the victim could neither resist nor flee. The autopsy report also confirmed the time of death matched the moment captured on CCTV, around 10:30 a.m. This served as crucial evidence to strengthen the case file, ruling out alternative theories and focusing on the act as a deliberate killing. When the autopsy results were shared internally, one investigating officer told the press, "This was no amateur. The attacker knew exactly where to strike to ensure the victim had no chance of survival." This further reinforced suspicions that the murder was a murder for hire, a meticulously planned execution carried out under the direction of a powerful mastermind. Immediately after completing the crime scene examination, police focused on analyzing CCTV footage. In one close-up clip, the attacker's face was visible for a few seconds when he looked up and scanned the surroundings before leaving the scene. That face was quickly identified: Subhash Sharma, a gangster with a long criminal record, notorious for his recklessness and tight-lipped nature. Sharma's file revealed prior arrests for armed assault and extortion threats, though he had always escaped conviction due to a lack of direct witnesses. Investigators suspected that someone like Sharma would never kill for personal revenge. He would do it for money. And that money had to come from someone else. From toll booth logs and mobile phone location data, investigators discovered that in the week before the murder, Sharma had visited Laguda multiple times. Notably, he had been in contact with Pranay Kumar, Amrutha's paternal uncle. This connection immediately opened a new line of inquiry. Could Amrutha's family be involved? On September 17, 2018, just 3 days after the murder, police arrested Subhash Sharma at a lodge in Hyderabad. At first, he denied all accusations, but when confronted with CCTV footage and DNA evidence from the knife, he could no longer deny his role. Under relentless questioning, Sharma confessed everything. The man who hired him was none other than Maruthi Rao, Amrutha's father. Rao had approached Sharma through Pranay Kumar, offering 1 crore rupees to eliminate Pranay. Rao even provided Sharma with Pranay's daily schedule, habits, and the exact date of Amrutha's prenatal appointment, so he could choose the perfect time to strike. The confession hit the public like a bombshell. A father, in the name of honor, had ordered the murder of his own son-in-law, right in front of his daughter and unborn grandchild. On September 18th, police arrested Pranay Kumar and several other accomplices. A week later, Maruthi Rao was brought into custody, escorted to the station as hundreds of furious locals gathered outside, chanting for justice for Pranay. Digital evidence, text messages, call logs, and bank transaction records corroborated Sharma's testimony. From that point on, the case was officially classified as an honor killing, a persistent scourge in many parts of India. On September 18th, police arrested Pranay Kumar and several other accomplices. A week later, Maruthi Rao was brought into custody, escorted to the station as hundreds of furious locals gathered outside, chanting for justice for Pranay. Digital evidence, text messages, call logs, and bank transaction records corroborated Sharma's testimony. From that point on, the case was officially classified as an honor killing, a persistent scourge in many parts of India. In the first days of questioning, Rao remained mostly silent. He refused to confess, yet could not provide any plausible explanation for the evidence. When investigators mentioned Amrutha and the unborn grandchild he would never meet, he simply lowered his head without a word. In contrast, the other accomplices quickly admitted their roles. Pranay Kumar revealed that Rao had been the one to contact Sharma directly, while he merely acted as the middleman and helped with surveillance. Another accomplice stated that Rao had paid part of the money up front, promising the rest once the job was completed. When Amrutha was brought in for a face-to-face confrontation, the air in the interrogation room grew heavy. She looked her father straight in the eyes, her voice trembling yet resolute. "You killed my husband. I will never forgive you." Rao stayed silent, but a flicker of unease crossed his eyes. That brief encounter was not just an investigative procedure. It was the moment a family was irreparably broken, where paternal love was suffocated by blind pride in the name of honor. With solid physical evidence, consistent testimonies from accomplices, and witness statements, the case file was swiftly completed. Police knew they were holding one of the most shocking honor-killing cases Telangana had seen in years. Nearly 7 years after the murder, the investigation file was complete. Thousands of pages of documents, witness statements, digital evidence, and forensic reports. Although Maruthi Rao had taken his own life in prison in 2020, the remainder of the case still went to trial to determine the responsibility of every other party involved. The trial began in March 2025 at the Nalgonda District Court in Telangana. Given the high-profile nature of the case, security at the courthouse was at its tightest. Outside, hundreds of locals and social activists gathered, holding banners reading "Justice for Pranay" and "End Honor Killings." Inside the courtroom, the prosecution laid out every detail. The CCTV footage showing the moment Pranay was attacked, the mapped route of the killer's movements, and records of messages, calls, and financial transactions between Subhash Sharma and the other conspirators. Witness testimony, especially that of Amrutha, painted a vivid, undeniable picture of a meticulously planned murder months in the making. The defense tried to lessen the charges by claiming it was an impulsive act, not premeditated. However, the chain of evidence from the months-long surveillance of Pranay and Amrutha's schedule to the preparation of the murder weapon quickly dismantled that argument. On March 10, 2025, the verdict was announced. Death sentence for Subhash Sharma, the man who carried out the killing. Life imprisonment for 6 other accomplices, including Pranay Kumar and those who assisted in tracking and providing information. When the judgment was read, the courtroom fell silent. Amrutha sat still, her eyes red, but her gaze resolute. For her, this was not just the punishment of murderers, it was proof that justice could prevail, even if it took nearly 7 years to arrive. The verdict was immediately covered widely by Indian media, hailed as one of the toughest sentences ever handed down for an honor killing in Telangana's history. The death of Pranay Kumar left a void that could never be filled, not just for his family but for the entire community. He died at only 24, never getting the chance to hold his firstborn son. For Amrutha, the loss was not only the heartbreak of losing her husband, but also the haunting memory of that fateful morning. When the trial concluded, Amrutha left the courthouse holding her young son, the child who had never met his father, surrounded by townspeople and reporters. She told the media she would raise her boy to be strong, to love and respect others regardless of their background or caste. This case is not only a personal tragedy but also a mirror reflecting a grim reality in India. Honor killings, murders committed in the name of family honor, continue to persist in many regions, silently claiming the lives of countless innocent people. The lesson here is clear. True honor is not defined by caste, wealth, or power, but by the way we treat one another, with respect and compassion. When honor is misunderstood, it becomes a sharp weapon, driving people to commit the most ruthless acts. The price Amrutha's family paid is an irreplaceable loss. The price the perpetrators must pay is the rest of their lives behind bars, or in Subhash Sharma's case, death at the hands of the law. But the greater price is borne by a society that still allows outdated prejudices to survive, continuing to breed tragedies like Pranay's. It is our hope that when people speak of this case, they will not only remember the pain, but also the message. Love and the right to choose one's own happiness are fundamental human rights. No one has the right to take them away. If you too feel outrage over Pranay's death, share this story so more people will know about the problem of honor killings and raise their voices against caste-based prejudice. Every share, every comment you make can help change mindsets and protect couples who live in fear simply because they love each other. Let this case stand as a powerful reminder. No reason, no matter how it's labeled as honor, can ever justify taking a human life. Thank you for following today's story. See you in the next video, where we will explore more true crime cases, so that we may learn from them, stay vigilant, and work together toward a more compassionate society.